friends, it's Greta with ArtSphere. I'm back again with another lesson for you guys. So today we are going to be creating Henri Matisse's stained glass tree of life. So I have with me the final product, and to get started with this lesson, we are going to have to talk about two different techniques. So the first technique is called embossing, and embossing is just creating a raised image or design. The second technique is called debossing, and this is creating an image or design that is sunken or reduced. Now, as you can see on the final product, we have some reduced areas and then we have some raised areas. So that's what that technique does. And as you can also see, this is not really made with glass. So I wanted to talk about being resourceful. Now, as an artist, being resourceful is extremely, extremely important because unfortunately, we don't always have the materials that we need. And we can't just give up. We have to find a way to overcome these difficulties and find new materials to make what we want to make. And that is the definition of being resourceful. So being resourceful is overcoming a difficulty in a clever or interesting way. And today we are going to overcome our difficulty of not having glass because number one, it's really expensive. Number two, can be a little bit dangerous. And instead, we're going to be using tinfoil as our main material to create this kind of stained glass looks, and also markers to color over it. So that is what we are going to be using to create our stained glass. Henri Matisse is mainly known for his paintings and drawings, but he also did some stained glass. And he used very geometrical types of shapes. So I thought that would be a really cool and fun and easy way to start out with embossing and using this technique. So the first thing we are going to need to do, the first step we are going to need to take is to cut out a piece of cardboard. And I just used the back of a package. You can use any cardboard or even really any sturdy material that you have, but I find that cardboard works the best. And you want to cut it in a way that's going to be small enough for your tin foil to cover it. So once you have this cut out, the next thing you're going to do is to draw the Henri Matisse tree of life. So that is going to be these kind of weird geometric, I call them flowers, flowery shapes, and then these odd kind of circular leaves. So I wanted to draw on a separate piece of paper what the flower and the leaf look like, just so that you could see them a little bit more clearly. So the flower is going to look something like this. And you can kind of see the leaf behind it. But yeah, it's going to look like a shape very similar to that. And then the leaf, do that. The leaf is going to look something like a circle. It's just a very, very simple shape. just like this. Very circular, very geometric. But yeah, and feel free to put your own little twist on them, your own variations. Obviously, whatever you're feeling. If you want to even do a different type of flower, go for it. This is just what Henri Matisse did. So after you have drawn out your leaves and your flowers on your cardboard, it's going to look like that. You can take your yarn, and I like to measure out the pieces before I glue them down. So I'll just take like a piece of string like this big, and I'll trace it just like with my finger. I'll like trace it. Sorry. I'll trace it around like this, you know, just to see how much I need for each shape, how much yarn I need. And then once I have measured out my string, I take the glue and I glue it down. So then it will look something like that. And you're just going to do that on all of the shapes that you drew with marker. Okay, so I have my cardboard with my string on it, and it looks a little bit crazy right now, but that is okay. So the next thing we're going to do is move on to the tinfoil. And before you do this step, you want to make sure that your string is pretty dry, because when you go to flatten the tinfoil, it could move around if it's still wet. So the next thing you do is get a piece of tinfoil, and you want to make sure that your tinfoil is a little bit longer and a little bit wider than your cardboard. So kind of like this. So it's a little bit wider and it's a little bit longer on each side. And now you are going to glue your cardboard to the tinfoil. So I have one of these glue bottles that kind of has this like wide tip that's like good for like smearing. But if you have like a glue stick, that works really well. If you have glue that kind of comes out like thicker and more like in heaps, you can take a paintbrush and you can kind of like smear it all around the tinfoil. But really any glue will work. The key is you want to have a very thin layer. So I'm just going to take mine and do it like directly on. But before you glue, you're going to want to take the tinfoil, you're going to want to take the cardboard and you're going to want to put it face down on the tinfoil so that the string is touching the tinfoil so that it looks like this. And you want to get it in the center because we're going to eventually fold the tinfoil over. So you want to try to get it in the center. And you want to take some kind of a pen or marker, and you just want to mark where the edges of the cardboard are so that you can glue in the perimeter of the cardboard. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm actually going to take a thicker Sharpie. So I have this corner outlined, this corner outlined, this corner, and this corner. So like this, like you can see here, here, here and here. And you can almost even see like the impression of the cardboard. And that's where I'm going to glue, right inside of that. And again, you just need a thin layer. So here is the tinfoil with the glue on it, and it's right where you're going to put your board. And then pick the cardboard box up, piece of the cardboard box, and you're just going to place it directly where you put the glue. And you're just going to press down on the back of the board so that it stays in place. And it's going to look like that. And then you're just going to fold the edges over, kind of like you're wrapping up a package. And you can tape the tinfoil down, but I don't really think you have to do that. I think it stays pretty well on its own. So the back of it's going to look like this. And if you forget like which direction is the top and which is the bottom, you will be able to kind of tell once we flatten everything out. So that's going to be the step we're taking now. So this is what the front of the board looks like now. And I am just going to start flattening it like this so that we start to see the impressions that are being made from the string. Start really rubbing it in like this. And you can start seeing the embedding and debedding. I'm sorry, embossing and debossing. You want to be kind of gentle because it's pretty easy to rip this tinfoil. So you want to make sure you're not pushing too hard. And you can really start to see like the kind of difference in levels that's happening here. So we have some like flatter areas and then the raised areas. And once you go in with your markers, you're going to even see that more drastically. So once you really start to see the outline of the shapes, then you can start coloring. And that's really just your preference, whatever like you feel most comfortable about. So yeah, that is going to be the base for the second to last step. The final step to this video is going to be coloring, and I think this is the most fun part. So what we want to try and do is keep the raised parts silver. So if I pull up the final project, you can see that I left the raised parts silver so that you could kind of see them a little bit better, and they separate the objects. So I'm gonna take a pink marker and just start coloring some of my flowers pink. I'm gonna start to see an even more dramatic kind of embossing and debossing. And it also gives it a really pretty glossy and shiny look that I think resembles glass, and it's just going to finish this project up and resemble stained glass. So yeah, that is the final product, and yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this project, and I hope you guys have fun with it. Have a nice rest of your day, and stay safe, stay inside.